Hey, welcome back to Mike's Italian Grand Adventure. So, as you can see, I'm back here in Colorado, and we've got some beautiful blue skies behind me, but there's a storm coming in over here. We got a little bit of snow last night, but the sun came out this morning and melted it. But I think we might be getting some more. So, I'm back on my Italian Grand Adventure. I just got back from Colombia and talked a little bit about maybe doing some around the world with Mike content, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. I definitely have some more information on Italy, and if there's a trip to be had this spring, it's coming up soon. And then I've got a little apology for you guys as well. So why don't we get into Mike's Italian Grand Adventure? Hey, welcome back. I mentioned a minute ago that there were some clouds over here and it just started snowing. So that's funny, it's coming in pretty quickly. So I wanted to start off today with an apology. So I haven't been posting content for quite a while now, probably a couple months. And if you recall my last video, I said I was going to start posting some travel stuff from when I was down in South America in Colombia, because not a lot was happening in Italy. I didn't really have anything to report there, and there weren't really any topics I wanted to research or look at, and I was kind of busy traveling. So my intention was to post a bunch of videos while I was in Colombia, but I didn't. Let me explain why. So I got some really nice comments from people saying, hey, that would be great. I'd love, I'm really interested in Italy, but I'm happy to hear about your travels too, or whatever you're doing. Really nice comments. And I think my inclination was that, hey, great, people want to kind of find out what I'm doing traveling too as well. But after I posted that video, and I posted a video of me like paragliding over the Andes, and it got like 100 views. So, typical Italian Grand Adventure, I have close to 2,000 subscribers now, and I'll have anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 views on a typical video. So what I took from that was either A, YouTube wasn't interested in my content and didn't suggest it to people, or B, people just weren't interested in it because they're really interested in Italy. So so I ended up not posting really any content about my trip to in Colombia, and I just kind of took some time off. And it was good too, because 10 of those days or so, 12 days, I was taking some friends on a motorcycle trip, and man, I didn't have time to make a video. I was super busy. In fact, here's a little bit of the video now, and I did create a video and uploaded it. I just marked it as unlisted so it didn't notify everyone. But after this video goes live, I'll go ahead and make that video live, so if you guys want to see it. It's only like 3 minutes long, and it just has some music. There's really no narration or anything, but you can see some of the beautiful scenery of Colombia that we experienced when we were on our motorcycle trip. So that's my apology part of it. Sorry I didn't post any content, but that's the explanation of why I didn't. So let's get to Italy. So the last place I left it, there were a couple of different things. Oh wait, I actually have an update I really want to tell you guys about. So there was a video a few weeks ago about no digital nomad visa for me, and I explained kind of what the digital nomad visa was and why I didn't apply for it. And short story was that they needed to hold on to my passport with the application for like, I don't know, 12 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks or something like that. So 3 to 4 months. And I had this trip to South America coming up, so I couldn't leave my passport. And then I said, hey, I don't know when I'm going to not need my passport for 3 or 4 months, so I don't think I can apply for this visa, because I usually am going out of the country pretty regularly. So I ended up, oh, you can probably hear my neighbor, Michael. Mike's going to watch this video probably. This is Mike driving by on the road on his four-wheeler. Usually it's dead silent out here. There's not a noise other than planes flying over 35,000 feet. But I tell you what, you hit record and a car is going to drive by, the first car of the day, or Mike's going to head out and check his mail. So, Mike, I've got you on video there if you guys can hear that. So, anyway, digital nomad visa. I posted that video, said, hey, I can't go, I can't apply for it because I usually leave the country. I can't leave my passport for that long. So my buddy Rob from Holland, or from the Netherlands, let's clarify, you might remember him from the episode when we were in Naples and in Pompeii. Rob came down and visited me when I was doing my motorcycle trip. So he said, why don't you just get a second passport? And I said, well, you can't. You know, if you're a diplomat or work for the U.S. government, you can get a working passport, and then that's separate from the personal one, but you can only travel on the work passport when you're doing official U.S. government business, etc. I have a friend who works for the government. He has one. My friend Eric, I know you're probably watching this video too, buddy. So anyway, Rob's like, no, you can get one. I asked ChatGPT and they sent me this link. So he sends me the link to the U.S. government website. Sure enough, because Rob said in Holland, if that happens, you can get a second passport while you're waiting for the application for a visa for a different country to come through. So lo and behold, the U.S. government does the exact same thing. So you can get a passport that's good for 5 years. Typically, a passport's good for 10 years. But it's essentially a duplicate passport. So while your main one is sitting on a desk at the Italian consulate waiting for a visa application to be approved, I can use this other visa to travel. So there's still a possibility. So we'll see. I'm going to look into that more. So that's a little update on the digital nomad visa. That might work out for me after all. And that would be really cool. So, Italy. Let's jump back into it. So if you remember, there's a few things I wanted to do on the house. One of them was I was thinking I might need to replace the water supply lines. I think they're galvanized steel. Galvanized steel is treated for the outside so it doesn't rust, but the inside's not. So over time, the inside rusts, flakes off, and those flakes kind of get jammed together, and the inside diameter of the pipe gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So you lose water pressure, you lose flow, not to mention the water's running through that rusty metal and all that stuff. So I think I'd like to replace those. There's a chance also that I'll need to replace some of the electrical because I think that's quite old. And for the room I want to put the kitchen in, I will need more updated electrical. Sorry, the snowflakes are starting to come down. They're going into my eyelashes. So I've been trying to get an estimate for that. And I also want to do the expose the bricks for the ceilings in certain rooms. So I finally got a quote back from Silvio, the guy who was suggested to do that. If you remember, I stayed at a couple apartments in my city before I bought it, when I was on a motorcycle trip with my buddy Rick. And then I stayed there again after I bought the place and stayed with my buddy Kuba from Prague. He came down. I left my motorcycle in Italy and I rode back to Prague with him because I'd flown in and out of Prague on that trip. So, because that's where my motorcycle was parked in Prague. All right, so the one apartment I stayed in with Rick had these beautiful exposed brick ceilings. And so I took a bunch of photos of those. If you've seen any of those photos on my videos, that's where it's from, that apartment. So the second time I stayed in one of the apartments is with the same guy. His name is Paolo. If you remember, my realtor's name is Paula. Paolo owned these apartments. And so he came down. We got there a little early, and he said, the apartment's not quite ready yet. I'll let you know when it's ready. I said, okay, we're going to go to the cafe, have a beer, wait, whatever. And so he came down, ended up talking to us for a while, and I told him, I said, hey, I just bought a house here, and I really loved those exposed brick ceilings in the apartment I stayed in a couple weeks ago. I said, did you do that? He said, yeah, I remodeled the whole thing. Silvio's my guy who does that. He's an artist. Give me your number. I'll text you his contact information. So Paolo gave me Silvio's contact information. I contacted Silvio. Silvio went over to the house, looked at it. I gave him a floor plan of what rooms I wanted to get changed out, and he got me a quote. And the quote, might be a little high, but it really included everything. So it included removing the plaster from those 6 rooms, sandblasting the brick to get off all the plaster dust and all the extra plaster stuff, sealing the bricks, also repairing any cracks in the entire house, all the floors, including the garage, all the walls, of course, but on each floor. And it included digging out the cracks, filling them in, smoothing them all over, and then painting the entire place. All the walls, any ceilings that didn't have exposed brick, those painted with 2 coats of white. All the walls in the entire place painted with whatever colors I pick. So, wow, yeah, that's exactly what I want. And when he's done, that place is done. Put in furniture, put in the kitchen, and ready to move in. So the problem is I can't have him starting that until the plumbing is done and the electrical, because these walls are solid block brick and they have to trench. They literally cut into the brick a notch for the pipe to go or the electrical wire to go. So they're going to damage the plaster wherever those pipes go. So they'll have to cover that up, and then Silvio's going to have to repair all that and then paint it. So the plumber and the electrician have to happen before, or they could go on simultaneously while they're putting the pipes and the electrical. Silvio could be working on the ceilings and doing some of the repairs and existing stuff, especially areas where they're not going to work with the plumbing lines or the electrical. So I'm kind of at a standstill. The plumber has been to my house. He's looked at it, and he's been saying for like a month that he's going to get me a quote. I mean, a month ago he said, "Yep, I'll have it for you Saturday." Didn't show up. So I'm like, all right, it's Italy, let's people take their time. Like a week and a half later, I texted him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just really busy." So I texted Paula because she recommended him, and she's the one who let him in over there. She knows him, and she said, "Yeah, he's just super busy right now. Just give him a little bit of time. People move kind of slow in Italy." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." So then another week went on, and I contacted him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm really sorry. I'll get that to you Monday." So Monday comes and goes, So you're seeing a pattern here, right? So this kept happening, and finally I was just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get the quote from this guy, A, and then B, do I really want to work with him? If he's has this much trouble just getting me a quote, is he going to show up at the job site? Is he going to be too busy to work on my house? So all these things are swirling around in my head already, haven't even started the project yet. So yeah, this is kind of what's been happening. So I reached out to Paolo, the guy who owned the 2 apartments, and he happens to own several other places in the same region in Monferrato that he rents out on Airbnb. I think he has like 8 or 10 units. He also owns a few places in Valencia, Spain. He lives in Spain part of the time. He lives in Italy in this particular region in Piedmont. So I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, do you happen to know of a plumber? Do you have a plumber that would be interested in working in my house and is available to work in my house?" So that's where I'm at. I'm kind of waiting to hear back from either the plumber that Paula, my realtor, had recommended and been at the house, or maybe Paolo, the guy who recommended Silvio for the ceilings. Maybe he has something too. So it's kind of a waiting game, and it's getting kind of close now to when I'd like to maybe go to Italy in the next month or two. I have to be back here in July. I have a trip here in the United States, in Utah, with a buddy of mine from Australia. He and his son are coming over. And then a friend of mine that used to live here that I moved here with that lives out in Philadelphia, he and his 2 boys are coming, and we're going to do a river trip in Utah, camping trip. So that's in the books. I have to be back for that. So, I don't know. Part of me is just thinking, hey, if it doesn't work out, if it doesn't happen, maybe I don't do the remodeling this year. I mean, the house has been sitting there empty for like 5 or 6 years. So if it sits empty for another year, maybe that's what I do. I don't want to do that. I'm kind of excited to, have a place to go to in Italy. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. But in the same sense, I don't really want to try to kill myself or stress myself out if things don't work out. So that's where we're at right now. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that next week I'll have some more information for you. And we'll see what happens. Paula said she's going to check around for a different plumber too. And I've got a couple other contacts I could maybe reach out to. There's a couple other American expats. There's a couple from Chicago that lives in a nearby town. Martin, who I'd mentioned before, that's from San Diego, that lives in that same town, is neighbors with a couple from Chicago. That's how I met all those guys through my YouTube channel here. There's another couple. There's the British guy who has a German woman who's his partner. I don't think they're married, but he runs a business kind of doing contracting and repairs and stuff like that. And I've talked with him, so I might have to reach out to him too. So we'll see. So I still have some options here, but I kind of wanted to see if these ones worked out. So, um, yeah, I think as anyone could imagine, working in a foreign country, working in Italy, a Mediterranean country where people are kind of laid back, a little more relaxed. Maybe not super motivated to get going right away. Small town, also, my town has less than 1,000 people, and smaller towns around there. So I understand there's going to be some difficulties for sure, and some frustrations. But we'll see what happens. I'm just gonna go along with it, and we'll see. Maybe it was just kind of over the holidays and winter's getting over, spring comes around. People start moving again. I know I'm like that, especially up here in the mountains in the winter. So I'm moving kind of slow and not super motivated unless I'm on a trip in Colombia riding motorcycles, and visiting friends and traveling around. But yeah, when I'm up here at the house, I'm just kind of taking it easy, not super motivated to do anything, which is another reason why there haven't been videos for a month or two. But we'll see. I think something's going to happen. I'm feeling pretty confident about it. So stay tuned, and man, let's hope this Mike's Italian Grand Adventure continues on in the near future. I'm looking forward to it. So thanks again for you guys for watching. Again, sorry for not posting for a long time, but I think it's going to start rolling here, and we're going to have a lot more stuff to look at here. So thanks again, and happy 2025. All right, talk to you guys later.